Hello, guys. How have you been? I trust that you're keeping well, you're well rested, and you're up, very hopeful for the day. Today, I just want to share something with you about our mind. I know that quite well, some of us would think, what is this big deal about the mind? And yeah, you've heard people talk about it. You most likely do not know exactly what you're talking about, or what that concept, that whole mindset shift concept is seeking to do. Now, let me just give you two things. So one of the reasons why it is not believed only, but it is what it is. Yes, that we are a product of our thoughts. You see, the way we behave now, for example, if you feel, or if you see an abusive person, or somebody who just naturally just, they're emotionally abusive, at the slightest provocation they would like to throw tantrums, or they would like to insult someone or do other bad stuff. Now, imagine, if you give birth to a child in the womb, who teaches a newborn baby to be angry or to throw tantrums or to know how to say, have you seen a little child who's like giving like a BS word? And have you thought to yourself that no, when this child was in the mother's womb, or in the womb of their mother, nobody ever taught them how to use a BS word, or how to throw tantrums, or how to insult anybody. But these habits were naturally picked up by the child as they were growing up. They did not learn all of that while they were in the womb. We picked up a lot of the things that we do, our mindset, especially from habits, things we saw, a lot of the things we saw growing up. So sometimes, and the thing is that some of these things are registered in our subconscious mind, whether we like it or yes. So you're probably driving, you're probably driving across the street. Maybe you would like to use the main route. You don't want to pass corners. You don't like to use the shoulders of the road, prim proper. But as you continue to use that route, and you continue to see and observe others who like to flout some of the road safety directives, and then they begin to use the shoulders of the road because they think they're in a hurry. If you continue to observe that, if you continue to live within that environment and constantly use that route, it becomes an incubation hub. What you begin to realize is that the next time, it is just either consciously or unconsciously, the next time you're equally in a hurry, you just veer off the road and then you begin to use the shoulder of the road. Now, what I'm trying to say is that even science have been able to prove that we begin to take the shape of the container in which we're in. Do you understand? You will begin to take the shape of the container in which you're put in. So if you put in a square container, the water will take the shape of the container. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the water, except that it will only take its shape, the shape of the container. So essentially what I'm saying is that if you are not currently living the life you dream of, if you're not experiencing abundance, if you're not experiencing what success means to you, and by the way, success to you should not be what somebody calls it to be. You should have your own definition, or your own experience or idea of what success means to you. Yes. Now, if you are not beginning to experience that yet, because you've not been able to take the steps that could lead there, either because you don't know or you know, but you just haven't had the courage to move to that place. I want you to know that it starts with a mindset shift. A mindset shift, because naturally, especially if you've lived in Africa, we have not been taught greatness. It is not in our DNA. So what it means for you is that you've got to be intentional about unlearning a lot of things, and then you relearn what you will need, the kind of mindset you will need for your next season. Because what's going to happen is that even if you're pushed into your next season, because you do not have a corresponding mindset, you would, by default, you would just come back to where you used to be. So it's a big deal for us to begin to align, and learn some of the old ways, and there are things that we have registered in our subconscious that we probably don't even know that they are there. And that's, I think that we'll treat that at another time. But what I'm trying to say is that you've got to realize that the life that you want, if you want to be significant, you've got to begin to feed your mind with premier thoughts. Okay, this is the substantial point I'm trying to make. Our mind abhors vacuum. Your mind cannot be vacant. It's not possible. The moment you leave it vacant, if you do not intentionally put thoughts, premier high level thoughts into your mind, if you do not feed your mind with it, by default, the default setting of our minds is the lower standard, is the life we don't have, is what is impossible, is insecurity, is that thought of unworthiness, that thought of, hey, I'm afraid, who am I, what do I think, what I don't have what it takes. That is the default setting of the mind, because that's what it's who we have become as we grew up, because those are the things we heard. Somebody said something to you growing up. What you don't realize is that it's registered in your subconscious, but you do not know until you grow up. And that's anytime you want to take an attempt at a big shot, or you want to start your next big thing, that thought would automatically begin to replay. All right. Then before you know, you shrink back, you make an excuse. Sometimes we go into false humility to say, I'm going to pray about it, or I need to spend time in prayer about this vision. When in actual fact, you're feeling very afraid. It is a false humility. Let's not attribute that to God, or to say I need time to pray about it. Yes, I understand. There's a place of prayer for new visions, for things God has put in your heart to do. But what we also need to understand is that there are things God has already given us the go ahead to do. Heaven is waiting. Angels are like, girl, are you going to move? Because they've been handed resource for us to take the move, and then they can bring it on board. But the insecure thoughts, things we were told as a child. So your class teacher must have told you something. You are so bad at math. There's nothing in your head. You won't amount to anything. A spouse may have said, why did I even marry you? And then something registered in your subconscious, but you did not take notice immediately the incident was happening. But I'm telling you that it is registered in your subconscious. So the next time you want to make an attempt at your next big thing, or a vision, or something God has laid in your heart to do, it will come replaying. So that's what I'm saying, that the only way to counter this is to unlearn those thoughts, those low-level, mediocre thoughts. Counter it with high-quality, premier thoughts. All right? And it's a big deal, because if we do not feed our minds with what it takes to even sustain success. Sometimes it's not just even getting to the success, but how to sustain it. Now, what you would need to sustain the every success you're going to make is your priesthood, especially if you're a child of God. Your spirituality must be that conch. You cannot take it for granted. Yes? People of the world are ruled by, if you see success for people of the world, it doesn't happen by luck. Yes, there may be a few, but that's not the norm. It's more of the exception than the norm. There is a spirit that's resting on what they are doing. It's either the spirit from the kingdom of hell or the spirit of God. Now, one of the things you use to sustain your success is your priesthood, which is an altar that is constantly burning with fire. That altar cannot die. And then the second thing you will need is a superior mind to sustain the success that you have. Yes? So a superior mind is needful if you want to begin to birth new things, if you want to begin to birth prominence, global prominence, significance beyond just what you and your family can just survive on. If you want to begin to bless humanity, and if you really want to move beyond just survival and hustle into significance, you will need it. So I want to encourage you that as you go about your day, do not leave your mind blank. Constantly be intentionally about feeding it with premier thoughts that will propel you to the kind of lifestyle that you desire. Yes, I love you. Thank you. Please share this with as many women as you can, and keep rising. Know that you have a purpose and you matter in the grand scheme of things and in the agenda of God. Bye.